Hey everybody. So, we have a potential situation at Georgia Tech in this offseason. It's the beginning of July, and we have a bit of news. So, looks like there's a potential name change to Georgia Tech's field that we play on. So, it could, now as Grant Field could become, the rumors are floating around that it could become Hyundai Grant Field. So this has got people, kind of arguing back and forth on the internet, kind of see what's going on here. At first, you hear that and you hear some like big brand come in and you're like, ugh, why would you want to do that? Obviously, it's a money thing. Obviously, Hyundai would be paying for this naming rights, and they would get to be called that every time the announcers friggin' announce the field or announce the games or whatever, and they get a shout out every time the field is mentioned. So that is, it's like a partnership. Hyundai gets a shout out, Georgia Tech gets a bunch of money. And, a lot of people hate the idea of it. I'm not particularly keen on it because, it's much cooler to call it Grant Field, something with, meaning rather than just a brand. But, listen, Georgia Tech has been in the dumps as far as debt. We're still paying debt 90 freaking 5 when we expanded the stadium. We're still paying that off. Like, why are we still paying off this freaking debt from 30 years ago? You know what I mean? So the Georgia Tech administratively has been run really poorly. And and it hasn't helped our debt situation like whatsoever. We're still in all this debt. It is, keeping us lagging behind other programs in our, in our league. In the ACC and in college football, we're behind the 8 ball because we just have less money in our budget. It's got to go towards paying off this freaking debt. So it's been kind of hamstringing us for years and years, decades now, this debt that we're in, and nobody's been able to get us out of it. So along comes Jay Batt, and this is his first year, and obviously he's got a lot to do. Jay Batt, for those of you that don't know, our new AD, our new athletic director, we hired him from Alabama. He was the assistant athletic director there. And we bring him in, and immediately he's got to find the coffee. And after that, he gets to work, right? So he immediately has to make the football hire. And then, soon after that, had to make the decision to fire the basketball coach and then had to hire a new basketball coach. So he had his work cut out for him when he first came in. But he also did this thing. He kicked it off almost immediately after hiring Brent Key, is this competitive drive initiative. It was a fundraiser and raised a bunch of money for the school. And so the school, it met the goal or whatever, and the school raised a bunch of money. He raised a bunch of money for athletics and that budget and stuff like that. So very exciting stuff, but it worked. He had this idea, and it seemed to be working. So a good fundraiser. That's kind of what we hired him for. I mean, that's what he's been known for. Every stop he's been. I think he's been at North Carolina and another ACC school. I think NC State. He's made a few stops before Alabama, and he had a reputation as a fundraiser. And that's kind of what we hired him to do. And this would be no different, right? This is what we would be hiring him to do, basically, is come in here and make decisions like this that nobody has made before in the past 30 years to, kind of help get us out of this freaking hole that we're in, because the ACC is not doing us any favors. Our freaking contract with them is terrible. I mean, everybody knows that how unhappy all the other teams in the ACC are. The Magnificent Seven got together to try to even get out of the ACC because our deal is, our schools are making a lot less than SEC and Big Ten schools. The SEC and Big Ten have much more lucrative contracts. Their schools make a lot more. And so the ACC is not doing us any favors. So he's trying to figure out ways to fundraise. And if this is what we got to do, temporarily, if it was a permanent change, that would be another story. It'd be a problem. Obviously we don't want our freaking field called Hyundai forever. You know what I mean? I mean, Georgia Tech, at the same note, I think you see where I'm going with this, is that I think it's okay, but Georgia Tech, at the same time, is proud of its rich tradition and history and culture, and obviously we don't want to go screwing that up with freaking advertisements, right? That's something that, like, Notre Dame has been able to do. Notre Dame's, stadium, for example, isn't plastered from head to toe with advertisements like some other stadiums are. They don't sell out their stadium's atmosphere. You know what I mean? And so that gives them a unique kind of atmosphere in the college football where it's like pure just football, and you're not being blasted with advertisements everywhere you look. Georgia Tech already has that. We have this like scrolling advertisements across the top of the top of the stands and the mid sections and stuff. But Notre Dame, for example, doesn't do that, which is cool. It's cool. If you can afford to not have to sell out your stadium to sponsors and advertisers, then that's amazing. Tech, unfortunately, right now, isn't in a spot where we can afford to pass up on things like this and turn our nose up at it as much as we'd like to. One day, we could get back in the deal, and I'd hope that they'd structure it in a way that it only lasts a couple years, or we can get out of it once we don't need the money anymore or something like that. But for now, overall, I'd be okay with calling it Hyundai Grant Field. It's only in namesake. They're not putting a Hyundai on the freaking 50-yard line, right? So it's not, anything. And look, anything that helps the school, I'm down for. There's a point to where you get to taking it too far. This would be the first change that I've heard on the matter, and it would be the first thing that we've kind of done to raise, kind of sell out a little bit to get some advertiser money. And, so we haven't gone down. I'm sure it's a slippery slope. You get that advertiser money coming in, you're excited, you want to start selling more things. Well, obviously we don't want to take it too far, but something like this, just for a little bit in a temporary situation, I think would be okay, especially if it's helping us get out of this debt, because man, we really, really need it. and it's just something that I think is okay. I think, changing it to Hyundai Field will be all right. So, a lot of Georgia Tech fans up in arms about this. What do you think? Could it possibly be a horrible thing, a horrible freaking idea? What do you think? Leave a comment below. A little bit of discussion here in the offseason about, what Jay Bad is up to. And, give the guy credit, right? He's trying to get us out of this debt. And he's doing a good job because, we need it. And going forward in college football, if, we can't be behind in the money. We can't be, we got to be able to invest this money into something else other than this freaking debt, right? So we don't want to get left behind in college football. And, it makes me happy to see that, we're taking football seriously. We're making some changes. We're realizing something's wrong. And, we'll be able to kind of try to pull ourselves out of this hole, which is not something that's happened in 30 years. So what do you think? Leave me a comment below. Let me know. Other than that, go Jackets, and I'll see you guys next time.